Hello, as I'm sure you've noticed by now, this is Teo, and I'm back with more House and Fata Morgana. Before I start in with the reading and such, I have, I think, 3 pieces of bookkeeping. That number might change over the next 15 seconds or so, but I think it's 3. 3 sounds like a good number. So, first of all, it has been called to my attention that our purple-suited protagonist of door number 3 has been having his name butchered by yours truly for the past, 4 hours. Uh, I've been calling him Jacopo, and that's not actually his name. It's Jacopo. And I was probably supposed to know that, because I actually know a guy in real life named Jacopo. My defense here is that A, I did promise with the Nyitty, I'm gonna stop now, with the Dutch rabbit incident that I offer no guarantee that I will be able to pronounce foreign words correctly. And B, this guy I know in real life, I've never actually seen his name written down, so I didn't make the connect between Jacopo and Jacopo. But from now on, I will be referring to him by his God-given pronunciation. Second order of business is I was thinking, and after the third door, I feel a lot worse for Mel, because with doors 2 and 3, Yukimasa and Jacopo were both dumbasses. The house kind of fucked them over, but it also really all it did was just give them enough rope to hang themselves with. Yukimasa was a serial killer, before he got shipwrecked, and Jacopo was a dumbass. So I can't feel too bad for them. Whereas Mel just kind of got fucked over super hard, right? It's not his fault the chick he happened to be crushing on was his sister. He had no reasonable way of knowing that. So, I don't know. I feel super bummed for Mel. And then third note is, this video is probably going to be pretty short because I'm hellas tired and would like to be asleep within the next 2 hours. So, there's that. Again, you probably already noticed because you looked at the time on the YouTube video and noticed that it was under an hour and a half. So, that was 3, right? I promised 3? Excellent. Back to the reading we go then. I have fulfilled my obligations in the realm of counting. The door before you slowly drew shut. You could no longer hear the raucous sounds of the men from within the den. The faint scent of cigarette smoke, however, lingered in the air. Staring vaguely at the closed door, you noticed something was amiss. The maid, who had been holding your hand, was no longer at your side. Uh-oh. You glanced around, but she was nowhere in sight. Down the corridor stretched only darkness. Not having anticipated this, you were unsure how to react. What's the matter? You lost, or are you just trying to take in the sights? A voice called out to you, but it was not the maid's voice. Caught off guard, you spun around, confused, in search of the source. Is it Maria? Where are you looking? I'm over here. Yeah, there you go. Little more to the left. Following the voice's instructions, you find yourself facing a wall. Oh yeah, that's something else I wanted to comment on. The third door definitely did a better job than the first 2 of, tying into the overarching story. Because there was that scene with Maria in the cellar, where she was like, huh, that's weird, there's this handwriting on the ground, and it's mine, and I didn't write this, and it's weird. And I think there was one other thing that I, noticed as being super weird. Or, connected to the overarching story. It might have been the ghost story about the dripping blood. But in any case, those were both pretty interesting, especially the one with the writing on the ground. I'm super confused about that one. So following the voice's instructions, you find yourself facing a wall. You look like you've just seen a ghost. Hey now, come on, don't turn away. Yep, you got it. I'm the one talking to you. The voice is coming from within the painting. Oh, it's Giselle. When you had passed by this wall on your way to the third door, a magnificent landscape painting had been hanging there. But now, the canvas was a deep shade of black, as if it had been dipped into a vat of ink. Been a while since I've talked to anyone. Oh no, it's not Giselle, it's the other guy. What was his name? Michael, I think. So tell me, you can hear me alright, can't you? Splendid. Although I feel like Michael's, manner of speaking was more refined than this, so maybe this is someone else entirely. Been so long since I've had a conversation, I was afraid I might have forgotten how to talk. So tell me, who might you be? You don't know. Well, isn't that quite the pickle? Then how about we have a little chat, eh? You got yourself turned around and aren't sure where to go, yeah? Well, I'll be happy to tell you anything I can. Just ask away. The painting sounded rather high-spirited. Perhaps he was simply excited to have the opportunity to speak with someone. I don't trust this painting, like, even a little bit. So you decided you would ask the painting a few questions. Oh, choices. Alright, I keep right-clicking when I want to save, but I have to, like, hover the bottom right corner. Alright, who are you? Who am I? What is this place? Who is the maid? So the guy asked us who we are, so, like, he probably doesn't know. Who are you is potentially interesting information. What is this place is? I would be very surprised if they gave me a straight answer beyond what they've already told me, like haunted house, ruins people's lives, sometimes has roses growing in it. Who is the maid, though, I might be able to get actual interesting information out of, so I'm going to go with that one. Might as well ask her that directly. God damn it. But you won't say till you've regained your old self? I see. Well, in that case, if you want to know what you gotta do. It's entirely up to you whether you make an ally or an enemy out of her. There's no guarantee, and she's even right in the head. Neither would I be after 500 years, or however long it's been that she's been kicking around this place. You never know. Maybe you're not the only one who hasn't found themselves. Oh, excellent, when you just get to ask all the questions. So you painting man is. Me? Well, as you can see, I'm a painting. Why did I end up as a painting? Hard to say. Maybe I was reborn as a painting because I used to really like art? But there are things I painted that I wish I hadn't. Maybe that's regret what's turned me into this. Hopefully I get the chance to apologize to him about that. Anyway, or anywho, no point in getting into any more detail than that. No, I want detail. Come on. Don't play me like this. Wouldn't mean anything to you, so enough about me. Oh, right, you don't know anything about yourself. Shame that. Alright then. A favor for you, since you can't tell me about yourself. If you run into him, could you tell him I really regret what I did? I know I should tell him myself, but, well, as you can see, I'm stuck here. Can't move an inch, so I gotta ask for help. I feel absolutely terrible about painting that picture. I know, yeah, the deadline's way past on that one. That's what makes it regret, yeah? Because you can't take it back. So, what paintings could he be talking about? Based on the, lack of context, I assume it's about a painting I haven't seen yet. Because the only other plot-relevant painting was the one from the first store, right? The one with the Mel and white-haired girl. And if that's the case, I guess it could be that this is white-haired girl's dad from the first door, and he's talking about Mel. But that wouldn't make any sense, because he died before the whole fiasco went down. By the time I'd realized it was too late. He was already dead. He's long since passed away. Huh? How are you supposed to give a dead fellow a message? Well, for all you know, the dead could be wandering these halls too. So please, if you come across him, tell him I said that. That I didn't mean any harm with that painting. Or maybe you are him? Probably, yes. You give it 50-50 odds. Who am I? Well, I mean, he's not going to give us information here, right? Just because you don't know who you are doesn't mean you can go around asking other people. Not a person, you say? Well, no, you're right, but I'm not going to know anything about you that you can't tell me yourself. I mean, from where I'm standing, you almost look like a walking cloud of shadow. That's concerning. Because the last person who looked like a walking cloud of shadow was Yukimasa, and I really don't want to be Yukimasa. I'm not at all on board with the idea of being Yukimasa. So we're gonna hope that's just a stylistic choice to conceal people's identity. I guess it probably was, right? Because that section of the story was from the maid's point of view, more or less. And both Yukimasa and Pauline showed up as clouds of shadow. So that's probably just the story's way of hiding people's appearances, rather than specifically calling out that story arc. I can't even tell you what you look like. The maid who was with you before, did she call you master? I see. But the question is, which era's master are you? How many doors have you been through? 3 doors, eh? And of those, did any of them bring anything back? Well, it's not an easy thing recovering yourself. Or maybe you weren't behind any of those 3 doors. Yeah, that's gotta be it. That was your first time witnessing those tragedies. Yours is another door. So tell me, how'd you feel looking behind those doors? Was it frightening? Saddening? Heart-wrenching? Well, let me tell you something. You were able to bear them because they weren't your tragedies. If the next door you open is yours, will you be able to bear it? Will you be able to accept your own tragedy? It's one thing seeing others suffering, but your own. You have to face emotions you wanted to keep buried, secrets you wanted to keep hidden away, and pain you wanted to forget. Do you think you'd be able to accept them as your own? If you can't, I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't accuse you of running if you chose not to reclaim your old self. Nothing wrong with erasing your memory of something if it was so bad you didn't want to face it in the first place. Let it be rewritten as someone else's story. That'll make it a whole lot easier on you. Because you never know. The most unfortunate tale of all may well be your own. Or perhaps it goes for everything about you. You won't know till you see it? Well, it's true enough. Once you do, there might not be any turning back. Or do you mean to reclaim your old self no matter the cost? If you do, if you're sincerely prepared to do that, then be wary of the tale that comes next. Any tragedy that seems too beautiful to be real is precisely that. Oh man, they've got me hyped up for the fourth door now. A fabrication. Oh shit. Any tragedy that seems too beautiful to be real is precisely that, a fabrication. Oh Jesus. If it turns out you're someone from behind the next door, then perhaps you're my... Oof, talk about some hard-hitting questions. I'm probably not the one who'll be able to answer that for you. I don't have a very deep connection with this mansion, you see. I swear it. I got nothing to gain from lying, do I? I don't know that. It's my regrets that have turned me into this. I wasn't summoned here by no one. That said, there is one thing I can tell you. This place summons people. People have ties to something that happened long, long ago. No one knows anything even happened. I didn't know it either, till she told me. Though I haven't the foggiest how much of it's true or not. Are you here because you were summoned by her? Or did you come here of your own will to find someone? It's the second one, I think, if I remember the prologue correctly. If you came here of your own volition and you weren't summoned by her, then mayhaps you'll be the one who can break. Haven't talked that much in a long time. Feels great. So, am I supposed to be hella suspicious of the maid now? Because the way that guy was talking, like, assuming the, like, female pronoun he was using in that last set of dialogue was referring to the maid, I'm concerned. Now that I've got it out of my system, I should be able to get some good sleep. You're probably still wandering in the dark right now, but I really hope you find the outcome you want. And I mean that. You can either reclaim your old self, or you can toss it aside. The choice is yours, either way. Now, since it looks like your escort isn't showing up, what do you plan to do next? How about taking a look around the place since you got a little free time? Could be you come across some things you wouldn't with her around. Oh, right. If you're gonna go exploring, I've got the perfect thing. Stick your hand into the canvas, would ya? Oh yeah, we Super Mario 64 now. The painting was still wrapped in an impenetrable darkness. A perfect, all-consuming void. The man had told you to put your hand into it. You... I need an adult. What's the worst that could happen? Always forward, never back. You extended your hand for the painting. The moment your fingertips brushed against the darkness, it swallowed your entire hand up to the wrist. Ah, no, not there. Tickles, a little to the right. As the man in the painting had instructed, you groped around the inside of the darkness. Before long, you felt something hard at your fingertips. Clenching the object, you withdrew your hand. Your arm was still intact. You spread your fingers, and there you found a key. Nice! I feel like I'm in a row like. Ah, that tickled. With that key, you can access the master bedroom. A while back, she tossed it into me. Damn litter bug. So yeah, it ain't mine. Don't worry about giving it back. However, I bet there's something worth seeing in there, if she felt the need to toss that key. Alright, well, I'm gonna get some sleep. You take care. If you happen to learn my name, come pay me another visit, should the fancy strike you. Oh, how nice he gave us our painting back. Having said that, the painting fell quiet. In your hand lay a small key. It seemed rather antiquated, and vaguely familiar. Were there any keys that were relevant earlier in the story? I can't think of any. And I can't think of anything that was, like, super important that happened in the master bedroom. So, I'm pretty sure most of the stuff this guy is alluding to happens in door 4. Silence once again drew over the corridor. You stood there all alone, no sign of the maid. After considering it for a few moments, you decided to explore the mansion on your own. Oh my god, there's so many options. So many options. I wonder if calling for the maid does anything. Because I have the feeling that it either does nothing or, like, ends this segment. Because I did spoil myself a little by looking at the Steam achievements. So I know that there is an achievement for calling for the maid 10 times, which makes me think that it might do nothing. But I am going to go to the master bedroom first. If it turns out that calling for the maid 10 times gives me an achievement, I can get that some other time. But we have this sweet key, it would be a shame not to use it. You inserted the key you had been given into the door's keyhole. With a twist, the door opened. There was blood everywhere. Well, doesn't look like there's blood everywhere. The master bedroom was shrouded in darkness, much like every other room in the mansion. It had evidently been left unused for some time. The air in the room was stale and forlorn. Master. A voice seemed to ring out from somewhere. Come on, get up. Up with you. Master! See? What did I tell you? It's so much nicer in here with a little light. Without warning, your whole world took on bright, vivid colors. Light streamed through the window, illuminating a well-lit bedroom. A woman's silhouette stood before you. Ah, wait a sec. Don't you hide under your bedspread. Get out of there. Oh, but Master, you agreed that I could open the windows. Don't worry, I've put curtains up. If it gets too bright, you can draw them. Mornings take the best part of being outside and squeeze them all into the same few hours. You don't have to go outside in the sunlight for it either. Just listen to all the wonderful sounds. Based on the Master's aversion to light, it makes me think it might be the white-haired girl, but that would be weird. The joyous songs of the birds, the swaying of the trees, the rustling of leaves. Also, they're talking to someone under the bedsheet, so I assume they're not talking to me. You tried to call out to the silhouette, but it did not respond. Yeah. Reaching out for her, your hand simply passed through her body. And it did not seem to be you that she was speaking to. Perhaps you were looking at a scene from some other period of time. Am I being as pushy as I feel right now? I completely misjudged you. You're the exact opposite of what I thought you were. Let's see. I thought you were cold and cruel, heartless and incomprehensible. But I'm beginning to get a better idea. You try to put on airs, but you're really rather childish. You have a short temper, but can be surprisingly playful. What else? You have a pretty difficult personality, too. Now, hear me out here. That's not everything. You gave me the chance to talk, and you listened intently. You can be kind of nice, too. We agreed that we would live together, not just in the same house, so we've got plenty of time to add more to the list. And I hope you can make your own list about me, too. This is just the beginning, after all. We've got a long, long time ahead of us. Plenty enough to get to know each other, no? Let's not waste any time, then. What do you say we do something today that we haven't been able to do before? Where should we begin? Oh, I know, we can get this place cleaned up. Now that there's some actual light in here, we can see all sorts of things we'd probably rather not. Like dust. All over the place. I don't know what to make of that. When the woman's shadow faded away, the master bedroom transformed back into its old dreary state. Master, can you say my name? You were unsure how to describe the urge welling up within your breast. You could not say her name. You stood unmoving in the master bedroom for some time, but it did not appear anything else was going to happen, so you decided to head somewhere else. We can just check everything in sequence. You made your way to the mansion's entrance. There was no one around, nor any source of light. Groping through the darkness, you found the front door, which was sealed shut with a heavy bar. You pressed against the bar, but it remained firmly in place. The door did not budge either. It seemed you could not leave the mansion. Burn the witch. Crucify the impure. When you made to step away from the entrance, you heard a muffled voice. You looked around, but were unable to determine the source of the voice. I mean, if it's a muffled voice, and you hear it when you go towards the door, it makes sense to believe it would be on the other side of the door, right? Nor could you be sure whom you had heard either. Giving up on finding anything at the entrance, you decided to head somewhere else. You made your way to the room with the fireplace. What remained of the fire crackled weakly, leaving the room in a veil of darkness. You remembered that you had awoken here. Out of sheer curiosity, you sat down in the rocking chair you had been asleep in. Creak, creak, creak. It was as soothing as a cradle to a baby, and in short order, you found your consciousness drifting from your grasp. Reading a story by the fireplace like this makes it feel like we're in another world, doesn't it, Master? I bet that's why troubadours perform at pubs, so they can be near the fire. Oh, you're such a cynic. But that's okay. Say, do you remember when I first arrived here? When I was cleaning the library? Your eyes slowly slid open. Fragments of a pleasant dream lingered in the back of your mind. The crackling of a fire, the taste of warm wine. However, there was nothing pleasant about the fireplace sitting before you. No warm, crackling flames. In fact, the brisk air of the room overpowered the remnants of embers left there. A chill ran down your spine. Afraid you might freeze stiff if you stayed there any longer, you resumed your exploration of the mansion. The scent of cigarette smoke lingered in the den. However, the room was silent. Not even an echo of the men's chattering remained. Something was moving. Billiards balls. There was no one present to strike the balls. They rolled spontaneously around the table. That's creepy. The paths they traced along the surface were rough and erratic, contrasting that of when the former master had held the cue. The spheres collided awkwardly with one another, not a single one coming close to the pockets. As an experiment, you pulled a ball off the table. In response, the paths of the balls became even clumsier. Having lost one of their targets, they began bouncing aimlessly off the cushioned walls of the table. As you stared intently at the table, a man's voice rang out from somewhere in the room. Spinning around, you saw a silhouette of a man. Curly hair means it might be a Kopo? There's not enough detail there to tell, and I assume it's not, because they just said that, the balls were not moving as smoothly as they were in Door 3's time. Anyhow. Spinning around, you saw a silhouette of a man. However, you could not make out what the man was saying. The man thrust his finger at the table. He appeared to want you to return the ball. You reluctantly placed the billiards ball back on the table. When you did, the balls resumed endlessly colliding with one another, never landing in any of the pockets. You looked up to find the shadow gone. Having determined that the maid was not going to appear in the den, you exited the room, making your way back into the corridor. This entire set of scenes has done nothing but confuse me more deeply. Look, your head is covered in roses. Oh, Murgle, you got petals on the book. This isn't mine, I can't afford to. But you could hear the sound of children laughing. You could not see them. This was Rose Manor, right? This is door 1? This was an actual scene that happened, where Nellie was throwing petals around and Mel was reading or something. But you could hear the sound of children laughing. You could not see them. Regardless, their cheerful voices warmed your heart. You decided to linger there in the garden for some time. Along with the children's laughs wafted a sweet fragrance. The wind blew, whisking flower petals up into the air. It was an enchanting sight. But after a while, the roses began to wilt. You could no longer hear the children's voices either. A young man stood alone in the withered rose garden. As you drew nearer, you called out to the youth, but the young man did not appear to notice you. He merely stood there, staring vacantly across the garden. The youth muttered something in a lifeless voice. This isn't what I wanted. I just wanted a normal, peaceful life. Yeah, okay, so that's definitely Mel. I can't bear being alone. I can't take this. Someone, get me out of here. Oh God, tell me that I'm not the bad one here. You tried to call out to the young man several times, but he did not seem to hear you. He simply continued muttering to himself. Before long, the youth's shadow faded into nothing. Unable to bear the chilly air any longer, you stepped back into the mansion. So if that was like Mel's ghost, and then we saw maybe Jacopo's ghost in the den, maybe we're gonna see Yukimasa's ghost in like by the stained glass painting. Or here, I guess. When you descended into the cellar, you heard beast-like snarling. Along with it came a sour odor and the sound of ripping flesh. You could not see the beast, but that did not make it any less unpleasant. You made to retreat from the cellar. Then Yukimasa got really mad at you. But before you could, a shadowy creature lunged at you. You reflexively squeezed your eyes shut. After several moments, you opened your eyes again to find a silhouette of a man standing in place of the beast. You and the shadow stared at one another for some time. You asked the shadow a question, and the shadow responded, "Margle, Margle." However, you had no idea what it said, because it was talking in Japanese, presumably. The shadow seemed to be trying to communicate something to you, but trying to make sense of something you could not understand was pointless. Having no reason to remain in the cellar any longer, you made your way back upstairs. Okay, so that means we've hit the 3 doors so far. So any other silhouettes that show up are probably going to be characters we haven't met yet. So like in the master bedroom. The smell of dusty books filled the air of the library. You approached a shelf to examine one of the books. And suddenly, an avalanche of them came falling to the floor. You stared blankly at the mountain of books. They had fallen down on their own. They showed no signs of putting themselves away. Since there was no one else to do it, you began placing the books back on the shelf. 1, 2, 3, a dozen. And as soon as you had gotten them all back up, they came crashing back down again. Man, that's hella troll. You wished very much to implore of the maid's assistance, but she did not appear to be in the area. Pretending you had not seen anything, you made your way back into the hallway. I don't know who's at fault here, like, the bookshelf for, like, being an asshole, or you for, like, just pretending you didn't see anything. It's like, nope, someone else knocked these books over, don't worry about it. I saw nothing. You approached the stained glass window. An array of pews was arranged facing the stained glass. There seemed to be an air of tranquility about the room. You sat down in one of the pews and stared quietly forward for some time. For a moment, you felt like you were on the verge of recalling something, but ultimately, the memory never managed to surface. The maid did not appear to be there. Where could she have gone? You decided to resume exploring the mansion. Wait, I can look at the stained glass window again? That's weird. Okay, that's weird enough that I'm gonna save. What happens if I look at it again? Return to the room with the stained glass window. You had searched throughout the mansion, but had had no luck finding the maid. You felt somewhat tired, though you were not quite sure whether it was physical exhaustion or otherwise. You had little interest in doing any more moving about. Taking a seat in one of the pews, you gazed up at the stained glass. Staring solemnly back down at you was the archangel said to weigh the souls of the deceased. Perhaps he was trying to weigh your soul. Master, Master. Oh, hello. Oh, there you are, Master. You give me quite the scare. After returning from the 3rd door, you disappeared without a word. Oh my, it was I who disappeared? That is quite strange. I did not go anywhere as far as I am aware. Nevertheless, I am glad to have found you. I would have been at a complete loss for what to do if I had been separated from you yet again. I did, indeed, say that when you first arrived. I have been waiting for your return for a very long time. For centuries, as a matter of fact. I can't remember if I've said this theory out loud before, but I guess my current theory is that the protagonist is Mel's granddad, the one that they were saying, like, renovated the mansion before the events of the first door. That would make me a ghost, then, you say? I am very much not a ghost. Would I be able to hold your hand if I were? Saying this, the maid took your hand. It was cold enough to send a shudder down your spine, and completely devoid of life. Though, as chilling as it may have been, you still took comfort in the feeling of her hand in yours. The maid looked down at you with gentle eyes. After a few moments of silence, she sat down beside you. The stained glass is quite beautiful, is it not? Every time I see it, it brings a tranquility to my heart. A dreadful, deep-rooted curse afflicts this mansion. However, this room is the one exception. Can you feel the purity that hangs in the air, Master? Yes? What is it, Master? You are correct. The stained glass window had been shattered and was not present in the time period of the previous tale. I wonder. Perhaps it is because the mansion we are in presently resides in a realm separate from the real world. Interesting. Not sure what to make of that. So, if we exist parallel to the real world, then what does that mean? Does that mean that the glass is possibly like still smashed in doors 3 onward? I thought I'd gotten confirmation at some point in door 3 that the glass wasn't smashed, or like it had been repaired at some point. But maybe I'm just misremembering. Also, this is like interesting implications for like what the characters can be and who the characters can be and like what the sort of limitations on time frames are. We are in a world constructed from myriad memories and histories. I am sure that when you regain your old self, Master, the mansion too shall be returned to its original state. Yeah, that makes me think even more that Door 4 is going to be about the events before Rose Manor, and is going to be, the protagonist is going to be the Mel's granddad, because the guy in the painting was like, you're probably going to show up in the 4th door. So, assuming my theory about protagonist being Mel's granddad is right, then that would make sense for the time frame. And then also if the mansion's going to be returned to its original state. As best I can tell, within the context of the story, the original state is referring to the post-renovation state. After the Mel's granddad had like bought it and renovated it. So I guess I'm getting more fuel for my theory, but I'm still not 100% sold yet. So do try and remember, all right? Oh yes. Where did you go in my absence, Master? I see. So you explored the mansion, then? And did you find anything noteworthy? Memories. I'm not quite sure what you mean. How peculiar. As a servant of this house, I pride myself in being aware of most everything present within these walls. I wonder whose memories they could be. Okay, I need to get some water. I'm like getting super hoarse. The key to the master bedroom? Why did I throw away the key? Why did I throw away the key? I beg your pardon. You say a painting told you? You could see perplexity on the maid's face. Either she's, like, has a really good poker face, or she's very confused right now. You had never seen her make such an expression before. I know nothing of any key. Oh, master, you should not tell jokes meant to cause others discomfort. But a talking painting, you say? You seem to have a rather vivid imagination. Maybe you can tell the next tale, master. Again, more hints that Door 4 is going to be about the protagonist. I'm only teasing. Now, that was a nice break, but we should get moving. The tale I'm about to show you is the last of the mansion's memories. Oh, that's weird. I could have sworn that I heard somewhere that there were 5 doors. I'm certain you will remember yourself after seeing it. To our feet. The final door is not far. Although I guess the theory that I've been going off about for the past 5 minutes or so doesn't take into account the fact that the protagonist could see through Pauline's point of view in the second door, and the maid had no idea that that was going to happen. Or not no idea necessarily, but she didn't expect it. Which implied that the protagonist had some sort of connection to Pauline. But maybe that's just a narrative thing, so as to add dramatic tension or whatever. As opposed to, like, a hint as to the protagonist's identity. The final door is not far. And please, do not let go of my hand. Man, I really hope that that comes up in, like, a larger context than just, we weren't holding her hand at the end of the third door. I wonder why. Holding your hand, the maid led you to the far end of the room. Crossing beneath the stained glass window, a metal door came into view. Our destination lies at the top of these stairs. There we will find one last door. She pushed open the metal door, revealing a long, long spiral staircase. It will be a bit of a walk, so let us be on our way. And please, do watch your step. This is called an observation tower. Normally, towers such as this were built in castles or churches, so it is rather strange for there to be one in a mansion. The last door I wish to show you, master, resides at the top of this tower. Rectangular windows were carved out of the stone in several locations up the way up the spiral staircase. You attempted to peer out one of the windows, but all you could see was a thick layer of fog. Perhaps the maid's suggestion that the mansion did not presently reside in reality was, in fact, correct. With each step upward, you found yourself gripped by an indescribable sense of anxiety. The feeling somewhat resembled irritation or annoyance. So wait, protagonist is still not sold on the fact that we're, like, outside the realms of reality. Like, he had difficulty accepting that we're outside the realms of reality, even though, like, opening doors shows us, like, memories. I feel like that's, like, a suspension of disbelief the protagonist should be willing to go through. It's like, okay, yeah, there's magic bullshit going on. I guess I can buy into this. He's like, not sure if I'm sold yet. Like, the fact that we're magically watching the past isn't enough to sell me on the idea that, like, maybe stuff doesn't comply with common sense anymore. The feeling somewhat resembled irritation or annoyance. Sensing this, the maid tightly gripped your hand. There's nothing to worry about. You'll be fine. It is all in the past. No matter what may happen, as long as you do not let go of my hand, you have nothing to fear. You and the maid continued climbing the stairs. Up and up, around and around, marching ever nearer the supposed final door. High up into the tower, as the light from below drew distant, a rotten wood door came into view. Patches of what appeared to be blood stained the surface, and holes had been bored into it with sharp objects of some sort. It was covered in blood and has been stabbed. Lovely. You heard a scream from far below, where no one should have been. Kill the witch, kill the witch, kill the witch. Burn her, burn her, burn her. You were struck with fear. The next moment, the maid opened the door, and then you slowly descended into darkness. $10.99. Oh, this is even earlier than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be, like, early 1500s. Set on a pot, set it on. And also pour water into it. Gather the pieces thereof into it. Even every good piece, the thigh and the shoulder. Fill it with the choice bones. Take the choice of the flock, and burn also the bones under it. And make it boil well, and let them seethe the bones of it therein. Thus saith the Lord, Woe to the bloody city, to the pot whose scum is therein, and whose scum is not gone out of it. Bring it out piece by piece. Let no lot fall upon it. Huh, so we got witches. Where is she? Where did she go? She came down this way, I'm sure of it. Find her, and burn her. Burn the witch. Burn the witch! Burn the witch! Burn the witch! Burn the witch! Burn her! 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 Then will I leave thee upon the land, and I will cast thee forth upon the open field, and will cause all the fowls of the heaven to remain upon thee, and I will fill the beasts of the whole earth with thee. I will lay thy flesh upon the mountains, and fill up the valleys with thy height. I will also water with thy blood the land wherein thou swimmest, even to the mountains, and the rivers shall be full of thee. And when I shall put thee out, I will cover the heaven, and make the stars thereof dark. I will cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon shall not give her light. All the bright lights of heaven will I make dark over thee, and set darkness upon thy land. I seem to have lost them. Now, where am I? Where should I go from here? What am I to do? Darkness spreads as far as the eye can see. Not a ray of light shines down upon me. All that strokes my cheek are tendrils of darkness. Every passing day, every fading hour, my world is engulfed in ebony. There exists no kindness in this shadow, only solitude. I've lost track of how long I've been on the run. Interesting, is white-haired girl blind again in this arc, like she was in the second one? Wandering aimlessly, lost, until I arrived at this dark forest. I no longer have anywhere to go. O Father who art in heaven, I kneel to thee within my heart, and ask of thee thy blessing. O Father who art in heaven, I ask of thee to shine thy light upon me and show me the way. Please have mercy upon my soul, O Father who art in heaven. I do love thee dearly. Hallowed be thy name. Please show me the way. I may be shunned and persecuted, and I may have no place to go, but nevertheless, I am unable to give up on life, to cast aside my hope. There were, like, biblical allusions in the prologue, too, right? Where they were like, someone was like, oh God, cast a curse on them and send them to the abyss forever, or something. Something similarly, like, vengeful, and not typical of what you would expect a prayer to sound like. I wonder if that's gonna come up again. Or, like, be relevant. Because we definitely seem to be more pious than in the other arcs. O Father who art in heaven, please guide me unto salvation. Father who art in heaven, please guide me. I can no longer remember when my life became naught but running, and it became endless wandering in the dark. And now, when I've reached the point where I've long since forgotten my hunger and thirst, my voice has become hoarse, my vision gone blurry, and my consciousness begun sinking into a hazy morass, that mansion appears before me, wrapped in a morning fog that seems to foretell rain. So I guess if you confirmed that protagonist isn't... Or like, we soft confirmed that protagonist isn't Mel's granddad. I guess my new theory is that he's Michael? Or whoever the, like, grumpy-ass, white-haired guy I found in the first mirror was. Oh my. The mansion comes into view like the world fading in after a dream. It doesn't appear as though anyone lives here. All the windows are either boarded up or shuttered, as if it's long since been abandoned. A tower, which seems out of place in a personal residence, stands tall beside the mansion. The whole building seems as though it could disappear with the fog. It has an unwelcoming presence, freezing me in my tracks. However, if this is where you have led me, then I shall follow your guidance. Having nowhere else to go, this mansion is my only salvation, the light that guides my way. And so I must have faith that no matter what I find, whether spirits or wild beasts dwell within these walls, is that this is where I will find peace. Is anyone there? I guess it is abandoned. Makes sense. It'd be more unusual for someone to be living in a house so deep in the woods, so far from civilization, like it's been forgotten to time. I can't imagine anyone spending their days here. I think this lines up pretty closely to Giselle's experience trying to get into the mansion. So, I guess more fuel for that theory now? I place my hand on the front door. What if I can't get in? I very much doubt I'll find anywhere else to stay wandering around through the woods. If the door doesn't open, then I'll die out here in the forest. I've come to accept much, but I'm not ready to forfeit my life yet. Please open. The door is heavy, and though it seems to protest my attempts to enter, it still opens much easier than I was expecting. I was worried over nothing. Looking in, I get the strangest impression light is being swallowed up into the mansion's depths. Rather than going inside, I feel as though I'm about to step outside the boundaries of this world. When I close the door, it's so dark I can't even tell where I'm walking. I wonder if the window's open. Though I manage to fumble my way over to a window, it's tightly shuttered, and the shutters are caked with rust. I'm probably not getting it open without a fight. I guess that would also match up with the scene in the master bedroom, where the girl's like, oh, master, I came to open the windows. Look, it's so bright outside. It's morning. Huzzah. That would, I think, match up with the, like, little I saw of Giselle and Michael's interaction. The quote the girl had in the master bedroom memory references her showing up at the mansion, which I know Giselle has done. Like, that was the scene Giselle was in, and now the scene where the white-haired girl is. So that matches up as well. I'm, like, becoming more and more attached to this theory. I'm probably not getting it open without a fight. Only I had some source of light. I can't even see my hand waving in front of my face. It feels like the floor will fall out from under me and I'll sink into eternal darkness if I don't watch my step. Okay, I guess I just got confirmed that white-haired girl is not blind in this arc. I wasn't expecting her to be, but just thought I should leave the possibility open in the back of my mind. Fighting back that fear, I slowly walk forward, tracing the wall with my hand. There's a door at the end of a long corridor. I pull it open, and a wisp of bone-chilling air brushes past me. It's too dark to see anything, but I can feel something different present in this area than the rest of the house. Uneasiness grips me. Is anybody here? My voice simply disappears into the void. No response. As I'm pushing forward through the freezing air, for a split second, I spot a shimmer of light. Squinting my eyes, I'm able to make out a large window. Unlike the others, it's not shuttered, but covered by drapes. My chances are slim, I imagine, but if there's even a slight possibility of getting some light in here, it's worth a shot. So I pull open the drapes. The next moment, faint but colorful light shines down upon me. It's a stained glass window. From beyond the glass, I can hear the subtle pitter-patter of rain. I guess it finally started. The different colors of light blend into a milky white, dim but wondrous. It's gorgeous. Why would anyone cover this up? It's beautiful. With a little more light, it'd be... Please do not touch the drapes. I called it! Or the windows. Suddenly I hear a voice, and I can sense someone else in the room. It's Michael! Hi, Michael! I like that guy. The man's voice is emotionless, neither deep nor high. Before long, he comes into view, illuminated by dull orange candlelight. I'm sorry for coming in uninvited. So we know the white-haired girl's name now! Well, probably. Even before the game is, like, baiting me again super hard. It's like, oh, you thought you finally figured out white-haired girl's name? Guess what? No, it's the same scene, though. He's like, don't touch the windows, don't touch the drapes. Right? It's gotta be her. It's gotta be the same person. They didn't even give us a sprite for the white-haired girl last time, or for Giselle last time, because it's the white-haired girl. Please tell me I'm right. If I'm wrong here, I'm gonna feel so trolled. I'm sorry for coming in uninvited, but, I did announce myself. Yeah, it's the exact same lines. The man stands there, practically blending in with the darkness. Has he been there the whole time? He's staring straight at me. His gaze wavers slightly, but not enough for me to read anything into it. The candle in his hand and the light from the stained glass window are the only illumination in the room, neither of which are particularly bright. As a result, his outline is faint and blurred. It gives off the impression that he might vanish entirely between blinks. My apologies. I assumed the house was abandoned. I suspect you'd have preferred it to be abandoned. Not at all. Is this, do you live in this mansion? Yes, I have, for a very long time. I thought I had barred the front door, but it would seem I left it open. What brings you here? If you're lost, I'm happy to give you directions. There's a village west of here. It should take you maybe half a day on foot. If you are in need of money, help yourself to some of the furniture. Trade it for food at the village, then make your way to a larger town. Please allow me to stay here. Could you repeat that? I cannot go to the village. Yeah, and this is where Michael tells her that he's the witch. No, I cannot go anywhere. I'm no longer able to freely return to any town. I'm being hunted. You seem rather young to be a sinner. You have transgressed. I'm neither a thief nor an adulterer. If I bear any sin, then it has been with me since birth. I will do everything I can to stay out of your way. I simply ask that you grant me shelter until it all blows over. If you wish to know of my transgression, I will tell you. So please, do not throw me out. I see. And you ask this of me aware of how people refer to this mansion? Pardon? It said that a witch once lived in this house. And not just any witch, a cursed witch. This house has been tainted by her seething hatred, and all who dwell within it meet their demise. But you live here, don't you? Like her, I too am cursed. What kind of curse? The one thing I can tell you is that your life is in danger if you get involved with me. Should you approach my curse, I'm likely to take your life. You'll kill me? Yes, so you do not belong here. To live with me in this mansion is to sentence yourself to death. No matter what path I choose, I very much doubt I have a future. And if that's the case, then I shall live how I want. I don't care what people say about you, or this mansion. I wish to stay here. You might think I'm rather strange, but my heart tells me that I must stay here, that I was guided here, and hearing what you have to say only reinforces that. What are you scheming? I'm not scheming anything. I'm simply tired of running. So if your curse is going to kill me, then perhaps that's for the best. At the very least, you won't be hunting me. You won't try to flay me, or tear off my arms, or rip the flesh from my bones. And that's enough for me. Wow, those are some low standards for our roommate. Like, you won't flay the flesh from my bones? That is not usually what I put in my, like, Craigslist personnel ads. Like, looking for roommate. Rent, such and such dollars a month. Requirements, clean. Keeps reasonable hours. Won't flay the flesh from my bones. Like, usually I don't feel the need to write that. But maybe I should start. If you have committed no sin, then why do they hunt you so fervently? I'm accused of being a witch. Master, please wake up. Return to me. Have you come to, Master? I apologize for sending you through the door without warning. It must have given you quite the scare. But I beg your forgiveness. I heard a terrible screaming from down the stairs, and I panicked. You say you saw the white-haired girl? I see. So you made it into the world beyond the door before me. I am deeply relieved that I was able to take your hand before losing sight of you. I presume you've already grown familiar with the atmosphere of this time period, Master? If you have seen her, as you said, then you should have a basic grasp of the situation. She was a very misfortunate girl in this era, accused of being a witch, abused and persecuted. Her life was in constant danger. It was, again, her appearance that brought this upon her. That snow-white hair and those ruby-red eyes clearly differentiated her from everyone else. Oh, and I apologize. I neglected to mention that this door is unique. As for what sets it apart, that will be made clear as we proceed. The one difference is in the time period. The tales I have shown you began with that of the beautiful flaxen-haired family, followed by the tale of the bloodthirsty beast, and then the tale of steel of ambition, proceeding in chronological order. However, the door we have just entered takes us to the period now known as the Middle Ages, long before the other three tales. Yes, that is correct. This is where it all began. The mansion's curse, the truth of the witch, and your identity. All of this should be made known. If, after this tale, you are still unable to reclaim your old self, then there's nothing more I can do. This door contains the last tale I am able to tell you. So I ask of you, please do not let go of my hand until it is all over. Now then, let us begin the beautiful, tragic love story of two solitary souls trapped in a mansion of darkness. In that era, the mansion was a dungeon draped in darkness. After a great deal of time on the run, the white-haired girl found herself at a remote mansion that stood in the dark, overgrown forest. All the windows were either boarded or shuttered, and it was even darker inside the house than out. Not even a ray of moonlight could enter those walls. Only naturally, the white-haired girl had assumed that nobody lived there, and her guess was incorrect. Someone did indeed dwell in the house. It was a young man named Michael. Though she could not make out the details of his face in the candlelight, she thought him a very handsome man. However, he proclaimed to her that a witch resided within the mansion, and that he too was cursed. Everyone who got close to him lost their lives. Do you think that what he told to her was all nonsense? A lie, devised to chase her out of the house? The truth of the matter shall come to light in time. Despite Michael's assertions, the white-haired girl decided she would take up residence within the mansion. This era's white-haired girl was younger than the others. She was still in her early teens, young enough to still be seen as just a child. She was neither as self-centered nor irresponsible as you might expect of someone her age. I mean, yes, being hunted by people who think you're a witch and are trying to burn you at the stake will do that to a person. She was very, very delicate and reserved, and acted with a great deal of modesty and restraint. The accusations of her being a criminal and a sinner were grossly inappropriate. Nevertheless, she was still chased from her home, barely managing to flee to this mansion with her life. Now, the white-haired girl thought it would be rude to simply take up space in the mansion, so she chased down the master, Michael, and asked, is there anything I can do to help? I will clean or cook or do anything, just let me know. I want to repay you for allowing me to stay here. You need not feel indebted to me. The weight of that obligation will only turn it into disdain. But I can't just stay here and do nothing. Do whatever you like, as long as you do not enter my room. Oh yeah, we did that. The master bedroom? We totally did that. Oops. Sorry, dude. That is all I ask of you. Although, come to think of it, if the scene in the master bedroom is, as I suspected, white-haired girl and Michael chatting, she definitely ends up entering his bedroom. Yeah. So, perhaps horrible things will happen to her as a result. He said emotionlessly, turning away and walking off. Michael was not, I believe, spurning her. He was merely disinterested. He did not treat her disrespectfully, nor did he seem adverse to her presence. Words simply did not seem to affect him at all. Not only was the mansion a prison for his body was also a prison ensnaring his heart. I should still do whatever I can, but she did not let that get her down. In fact, she might have even interpreted his disinterest as kindness. Though he was a bit standoffish, he did not attempt to cause her harm. He was nothing like the people who had accused her of being a witch and forced her to flee to her for her life. And thus he meets her roommate requirements. And she was deeply grateful for that. Thus began their quiet life together, Michael, who avoided contact with others, and the white-haired girl, who had taken a great deal of abuse from others. Two people who hardly knew anything about one another, who were too distant to really be said to be living together. Michael spent most of his day in his chambers, so they only ever saw each other occasionally, and they hardly ever spoke. Though they both stayed in the same house, they both still lived solitary lives. Nonetheless, the white-haired girl wanted to get to know Michael better. She wanted to know why he called himself cursed, why he lived alone in this dark mansion, how many days, how many years he had spent here in solitude. And while she waited for the opportunity, she also started doing things around the house. Now, see, if I hadn't seen the white-haired girl and the maid interacting in other story arcs, I would think that they're the same person at this point. The first project she sent out to take care of was cleaning. As the windows were all firmly shut, her only source of light was candles. For whatever reason, there was a great deal of candles stored in the cellar. Also, interestingly, they haven't given me a sprite for the white-haired girl yet in this arc, which I have to assume is intentional. And it's not even like they're trying to hide that she isn't Giselle, because they didn't give me a sprite for Giselle either. Mysteries upon mysteries. For whatever reason, there was a great deal of candles stored in the cellar. She wondered where on earth he had acquired so many, but she never found the opportunity to ask him. It was difficult to even see all the dust and cobwebs with only candlelight, and considering the poor airflow through the house, she was afraid her efforts were going to be in vain. Still, she persisted, sweeping and wiping things down, one room at a time. Eventually, she made her way to the library. The dust that had settled there was much heavier than in any other room. With each breath, she had to fight back coughs. It was not a room one would normally be comfortable spending much time in, but the sight of so many bulky volumes lining the shelves sent her heart aflutter with delight. They're books! Incredible! Real books! The white-haired girl had never seen a book before. She had heard people describe them, but that was the first time she'd ever seen one for herself. Parchment was a very valuable commodity in the era. It was something monks or scholarly priests made use of, and not a material one could easily acquire without some degree of social rank. Books were not printed with machines, but copied by hand. A single volume took an incredible amount of work to create. Even the process of binding was an art. Standing before the shelf, she stared intently at the spines. There's so much dust. Does not read any of them. Just a peek. Just a tiny little peek, she said, making excuses to the empty room as she reached her hand towards one of the books. The tome that caught her eye was on the upper shelf. It bore gorgeous jade embossing and looked like it belonged in a treasure chest. Oh, is this where the troll bookshelves come back to haunt her? She, goes to grab one book and then the books start pouring out of the shelf like they did for us. Almost. Though she tended to act older than her age, the white-haired girl was still in her early teens and not especially tall. Even standing tiptoe, it was still just barely within reach. At long last, her slender fingers made contact with the spine, and she began to pull the book toward her. The library had sat abandoned for some time, causing the covers to stick together, so when she attempted to pull one out, several others tilted with it. Oh! Troll-ass bookshelves! And then, almost all the books on the shelf came avalanching down onto her. Man, what is wrong with these bookshelves? Ow! The white-haired girl groaned, buried under a mountain of parchment. She hoped she had not damaged any of her host's valuable collection, for the mess was enough of a setback already in her attempt to express her gratitude. Looking around, she saw one volume that was almost torn in half. She did not know whether it was in that condition before, or if it had happened in the fall, but nonetheless, she felt horribly guilty. Sitting there, unable to get back to her feet, tears began welling in her eyes. Then, suddenly, a shadow fell over the dejected girl. It took a book in its hand and returned it to the shelf. For a brief moment, the shadow's hand reached hesitantly toward the white-haired girl, then changed course towards another book. It was Michael. There was a hint of perplexity in his otherwise emotionless eyes. Perhaps he had heard the noise and came to see what had caused it. I'm so sorry, your books, What were you doing? I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to make a mess. I didn't mean to damage such precious books. There's no need to panic. I'm sorry. Make it sound as though I'm admonishing you. What? Did you want to read a book? I do, but that's not what I originally came here to clean. Clean? Yes, I feel guilty simply being idle. I did say you could do as you pleased, but you have no responsibility to clean anything. I just ended up making a bigger mess anyway. You needn't apologize. Okay. If you want to read, help yourself to any of the books. But I don't know how to read. I just thought the cover was pretty, so I wanted to hold it. You're free to use them however you wish. If looking at them is enough for you, by all means. These are all your books, aren't they? They are. It's incredible. You have so many. It must have taken you a long time to acquire them all. 1 per month. What? My family sends me 1 every month. Every month? The white-haired girl turned her gaze back towards the shelves, squinting her eyes and beginning to count. When she finished, she was in awe. There were in excess of 100 books on the shelves, which meant he had lived there in solitude for many years. I mean, like 8. That's like not that many years. Okay, 9. She was at a loss for words. They're dull tomes, dreadfully inoffensive and not even interesting enough to waste a few hours with. Decoration is all they're good for. I see. If you can put them to some use, then perhaps my having them won't be entirely meaningless anymore. I'm going to return to my room. Don't feel obligated to clean up. Just a minute. Was there something else? Could you tell me your name? I just realized I never asked for your name. Not knowing what to call you will make conversation awkward. I want to, though. Wait, did he not say anything? You don't need my name to. That's annoying. It skipped over that line. You don't need my name to. I want to, though. I think there was one... Wait, that's weird. And then in the backlog here, it's censoring the word name? I'm super confused. Like, either these are weird-ass bugs, or script errors, which seems more likely, or I'm not sure what else it could be. Michael. Michael, like the Archangel. The name suits you quite well. Suits me. It does. Although it's difficult to see you in the dark, you seem to be a very handsome man, befitting of your name. I beg to differ. Giving me his name is the highest form of mockery. I expect the real Archangel is probably rather annoyed by it. I don't know. I think it's a wonderful name. And you're... No, never... Oh my god, Michael, please! You're fucking with me! Like, you could at least give me the censored version. Oh, my name? Oh my god, white-haired girl coming in with the clutch save! My name is Giselle. Oh! Called it. I'm so good at this game. Please, call me Giselle. Oh, thank goodness. For what? That I was able to get your name, and talk to you for a little bit. We haven't seen much of each other since I first arrived, so I'm glad that I got to hear your voice. So very glad. You gain nothing by speaking to me. You have no responsibility to do so, and there's no need for you to feel joy about it. Wow, how antisocial can you get? Like, there's no need for you to talk to me. You're not allowed to feel happy about talking to me. I'm not pleased out of some sense of responsibility or necessity. It's just depressing, not being able to have a conversation with somebody living in the same house. You do not understand me at all. As I said on the first day, my curse will one day kill you. But I am still alive, aren't I? You're welcome to believe I am lying, or that I am merely out of my mind. But it will be too late when you realize the truth. I'll be fine, I'm sure. And even if I do die because of your curse, I promise I won't hold a grudge. So, we're Middle Ages, he says he's cursed, and he says the curse is gonna kill her, which makes me think it's like the plague or something. Like he has some sort of disease. It might be connected to with his aversion to light, because it seems that the white-haired girl in the rest of the doors had the same thing going on, so maybe he's like some sort of contagious disease, which is why he got quarantined in this house. And the disease makes your skin super vulnerable to light. And the fact that they're being so melodramatic about it, you can just chalk it up to, like, it's the Middle Ages. Like, their knowledge of medicine is perhaps not where we are here in the 21st century. I promise I won't hold a grudge. Could you possibly be keeping away from me out of concern? No, I simply have no interest in interacting with anyone. I would like to interact with you, if you don't mind, that is. As I told you, you have nothing to gain from that. I mean, that's pretty subjective, dude. I have nothing, not even words, to give you. You're talking right now! Okay, I like Michael less than I did, like, 20 minutes ago, because he's a dumbass. I still like him, but I don't like him quite as much. My body is but a shell. Even if I were not cursed, my presence would do not but cause you discomfort. Okay, now you're just being super emo. Next he's gonna, like, start singing Linkin Park lyrics or something. I don't think that's true. I don't believe that there's anyone in this world with absolutely nothing. There's plenty inside you. You simply haven't noticed it yet. And not all of it will only cause others pain either. If you truly believe those words, then you are a foolhardy girl. How can you trust someone you only just met? For that matter, how do you not resent everyone? Resent them? I can take a guess as to why people call you a witch, and why you had to flee all the way to this mansion. Your white hair and red eyes, says the guy with white hair and red eyes. Oh, maybe that's what he's talking about with his curse. Like, he doesn't have a curse, like, at all. It's just the white hair and red eyes. But I think in the memory in the master bedroom, they made some comment about his aversion to light. And that might just be like he doesn't like light, but between that and the fact that the white-haired girl is, like, super sickly in all the other arcs, makes me think that there is some sort of disease going on here. An abnormal, seemingly inhuman appearance drew their condemnation. And I can think of any number of reasons they might have started treating you less than human. Perhaps people around you experienced misfortune, or perhaps there was a natural disaster, a famine, a plague, some kind of external phenomenon, and you were their scapegoat. Yes, you are, by and large, correct. And that would make me as unworthy of your trust as anyone else. I make no claim to having your interests in mind. Goodbye. If you don't mind, could you teach me how to read sometime? Did you listen to anything I said? I listened, yes. I have no intention of idolizing you. I don't expect you to do anything for me, and I don't wish to burden you in any way. I simply wish to be allowed to be at your side. It does not matter to me what kind of person you may be. Again, Michael met the roommate requirements. Doesn't play skin, doesn't try and cut her head off. What a swell chap. That is all I want. I apologize for keeping you. Please consider it, if it's not too much trouble. As the master of the house, Michael made his way out of the library. He appeared to be slightly rattled. Perhaps the white-haired girl's determination had ignited something in his chained heart. Or perhaps it was something else. She stared toward the darkness into which Michael had disappeared. Wait a minute! If I remember correctly, there was one scene where we walk past a mirror, and neither us nor the maid have a reflection, but it says we caught a glimpse of white hair. I think I remember a scene like that. And if that's the case, it adds more fuel to the We're Michael theory. I would be now very surprised if it was anything else. She stared towards the darkness into which Michael had disappeared. Then she carefully wrapped her arms around the jade-embossed tome, a soft smile spreading across her lips. He's a decent man, I'm sure of it. We're alike, he and I. And thus began to blossom within her a faint sense of fellowship, as someone who also knew solitude. And with that, I think I'm going to put this video to a close. Thank you for following along with me, and I am super excited for the rest of Door 4, which will come out probably sometime this weekend. But maybe tomorrow, depends on how bored I am. Because I could think of nothing better to spend my Friday night doing than reading The House in Fata Morgana for all of you fellows. So have a lovely evening, or, again, whatever time of day you might find yourself watching this in, and I will see you in the future. Or talk to you in the future. Anyhow, peace.